Alright guys, today we're going for a deep dive in this 1975 Vigilante Cherokee S. Alright guys, today we're going to talk about everything that's special about this incredible car. This Vigilante started off as a 1975 Jeep Cherokee S. These cars were built in narrow track all the way until 1975, and in 1976 they started adding up the wide track version of it. More commonly known under the variants of the Cherokee Chief, the Golden Eagle, etc, etc. So as you know, every one of our Vigilantes starts with the foundational structure, the chassis. So whether you have a 392 crate engine under the hood, a Hellcat Red Eye, or even the Viper V10, it all starts with the same solid foundation. No more old leaf springs, 4-link suspension, no restored axles, brand new axles, no more drum brakes, 6-piston Baer brakes all around the vehicle, and of course, a solid brand new chassis, built to order for us here at Vigilante. So you know how these stock chassis used to be a C-channel in most of it, and then they were boxed up in just certain areas. These chassis are fully boxed from front to back. Suspension-wise, we're running Fox Racing shocks and Eibach springs. Each car gets dialed in to how it's used. So if it's a family vehicle or it's a performance machine that you're going to be using as a two-person, like in a J-Truck, we dial these suspensions in to your personal needs. Much more comfortable ride, obviously, but also just modern technology. So in order to accommodate these big 6-piston brakes, the stock wheels don't suffice. They just simply don't fit under there. We did like the original design. So we 3D scanned the original wheel, expanded it to a 17-inch wheel, giving the vehicle a newer stance, a newer updated stance, and also allowing for these big massive brakes to sit behind them. These wheels are milled out of big chunks of aluminum. Huge chunks of aluminum, and we custom machine these wheels to perfection to look stock, but they're brand new. The stance, obviously the car sits a little higher than the original stance of the vehicle back in the 70s. That's okay, we did that first of all to accommodate these wheels, but also kind of to give it a more modern approach. Every single SUV you see on the road today is sitting way higher than what they used to be back in the 70s. So not only does it look good, but it also gives you that more modern approach and a more integrated feel into today's traffic. So on these 17-inch wheels, we like to use BF Goodrich all-terrains 285 70/17s. These are great overall tires, they're not noisy, and they just look great, and they fit the original aesthetic of the vehicle. Now, under the hood of this baby, we got the mighty 392 SRT8 V8, producing 485 horsepower. These engines are not pulled out of a junkyard or anything. No, we buy these brand new. Why? Because they come with warranty, they can be serviced at any Dodge, Jeep dealership, anywhere we ship these vehicles. So we want to give people the comfort of knowing that they can service these cars anywhere in the world, right? They can bring it into any Dodge, Jeep dealership, it can be serviced, they can put their computer in there, and they're all Mopar parts. Associated to that is an ECU. For those who don't know, the ECU, the brain of this engine, is also a stock Mopar component. We're not tuning these engines to certain specifications where you can't rely on just standard tunes. No, they're just stock units, the same way that you will find in any modern Dodge, Jeep production vehicle. Obviously, these come with OBD2 ports, which allows you to connect either a very simple user interface and read the data, or service the whole engine at your dealership. Behind the mighty 392 HEMI crate engine, we got a 6-speed manual transmission. It's a Tremec TR-6060, which can commonly be found on modern muscle cars and can be serviced in any dealership. Behind that is an Atlas II transfer case, delivering the power to the front and the rear axle. Super sturdy, twin stick, shift on the fly, the best of the best. From there, the power is delivered to the rear axle, which is not a restored axle. No, this is a brand new Dana 60 Currie Enterprise axle. And in the front, a Dana 44 Currie Enterprise axle, geared to perform and work best behind this TR-6060 transmission. Let's peek under the hood. So what differentiates us from your local hot rod shop or speed shop is that we build these as a production vehicle. Key components can be found back in key positions under every single one of these Vigilantes. The battery is always placed here. The reservoir is always positioned over there. The heater boxes, the engine seems like it sits in here in its natural environment and has been fitted and positioned on the chassis for optimal performance and weight distribution. So the fact that we build these in series just allows us to build a better vehicle than a one-off that your local speed shop is going to be able to do. With all our respect, obviously, for the craftsmanship and the work involved in building these one-offs. We're just confident that the fact that we've perfected this formula and we've repeated, copy-paste, repeated this formula over and over again, just allows us to deliver a better product. So each vehicle starts with an original identity, an original donor vehicle, and an original body. This allows us to maintain the original character of the vehicle. This is not a kit car. This is not a reproduction body that we're using on here. No, the original soul and aesthetic of the vehicle are maintained and just follow through onto this new platform and chassis. So no body modification is made. These radiators are built specifically in CAD for us. They cool off. We maintain a temperature of between 204 and 206 degrees permanently, whether you're in desert or whether you're just driving in a cold state. In front of the radiator is a condenser, which is the biggest one you could fit in there, allowing us to deliver cold air in any environment. Preserving the original aesthetic under the hood was key to us. The battery is still found in its original position, but the bracketry that holds it in place has been sturdied up and designed in CAD that allows it to sit safely within its original position. For those that have owned these vehicles, they know the little clamp that was holding the battery in place just didn't suffice. You'd take a curve a little too sharp, the battery would just get out of its bracket and land on your exhaust manifolds. Not the best experience. The climate control, the heater box, the blower motor is designed to look stock, but none of the original components sit in there. So we custom make these boxes to look like the stock original box, but it embeds a bunch of technology in there. The wiper motor in this vehicle obviously is brand new, but these vehicles in the 70s only had wiper motors with 2 speeds on there. In modern days, you want to have an intermittent motor. Also under the hood, the Hydroboost unit, key to proper braking. You see far too often on a lot of these builds that people increase horsepower, but they don't consider braking. Safety is key to us. And this Hydroboost unit gives us confidence that the vehicle will brake properly on modern roads. 2025, modern LEDs all around. Chromeware has been respectfully restored for the bumpers, the grille. All the rest of the chrome, as you'll see, is brand new. The bracketry on this bumper was terrible back in the days. If you had a kid climbing on one of the edges of the bumper, it would touch the body, it would rub the paint off the body. Obviously, we've improved that too. Behind the headlights, obviously there's not an inch of old wires in here. It's all brand new wiring that we built in-house, custom to these vehicles, again, in a production matter. As we don't know where these vehicles will end up, rust protection is key. The chassis gets stripped down to the bare metal, zinc primed, and powder coated. The body gets stripped down to the bare metal. That's the only way that you can see what's happened throughout all these years. After media blasting the body, Marco and his team get a proper insight on what they're dealing with. Heat, hammer, sheet metal fabrication is all involved into this process and restoring the body to its original condition, but with respect. Once that's done, the body goes back to a metallizing process, which is an aluminum and zinc projection over the original sheet metal. That process allows us to rust-proof these bodies, these original bodies, to the highest level. After the metallizing process, primers go on. Lots of sanding, obviously, then paint, clear coat. On this particular vehicle, we worked with a 2-tone paint job. Brittany blue, which we stole from Ford, and glacier white on the top. Originally, these vehicles were very poorly painted. The white and the blue were just very quickly masked off, and the way that Jeep would hide this seam, they just put a sticker on there. It wasn't even a single sticker, it was multiple stickers that shrunk over time. And if you look at an old Cherokee that still has its original patina, you'll see that multiple seams have just shrinked and allowed for the paint and everything behind it to display. Glass is all brand new on this vehicle. We're not polishing up old glass. No, this is brand new, architecturally tinted, tempered glass that's cut to size for these builds. These Jeeps were not particularly well built back in the days, and there was a lot of room for improvement. Having owned hundreds of these Jeeps, we knew the flaws, we knew the good, we knew the bad. While building up Vigilante, we really took a deep dive into what was good, what was bad. Some of you might know that these door handles, the mirrors, were really a poor design. Once you shut the door, that mirror would just lose its position. What did we do for that? We maintained the original aesthetic of the mirror, but we are now CNCing it out of solid billet aluminum. No more rattling, no more floppy mirrors. These mirrors sit on here tightly and you don't need to worry about them. These gaskets get 3D printed, are way stronger and withhold their original color way better than any plastics used back in the 70s. To us, the key is to be able to identify these vehicles only when you pay close attention to them. Obviously, this is a good-looking Cherokee, but knowing that this is a Vigilante only happens further down the process if you pay really close attention to details. Check out the badging that we CNC here inside these mirrors. This emblem with our mountain lion logo is inspired by the original Cherokee logo. And the tailgate badge on here, again, is CNC'd out of solid aluminum, respecting the font of the Cherokee, but displaying our name. Obviously, these cars didn't come with power windows, power locks, or any of the good stuff that we have nowadays. We integrate all of that into our wiring harnesses, so you're now able to not only unlock and lock your car with a remote control, but also open the tailgate glass with that same remote control. As mentioned earlier, safety is key, and 3-point seat belts are just a standard nowadays. These Cherokees only came with 2-point seat belts in the front and in the back. Obviously, these Cherokees never came with leather interiors. The original door cards were out of cardboard, as water would seep in on the outside of the vehicle through these doors. That cardboard would warp and would get humid over time. We now CNC these out of ABS plastic, and we cover them respecting the original aesthetic of the door card with leather. This particular interior has a flower emboss in it. How do we achieve that? By literally pressing in the design pattern into very high quality leather from Baer and Giles. If you pay attention, a couple of things happen. Sometimes these cars would not have speakers. They would only have a central speaker on the top of the dashboard. We respectfully integrate a 6.5-inch speaker right here. Behind this panel sits a JL Audio amplifier, 2 massive Audiofrog 8-inch speakers. The original radio that sits in the dash got gutted and restored cosmetically, but all the internal components are brand new, interface with your Bluetooth and your phone, and give you high quality sound as you're driving down the road. Also, the cranks were notorious for failing. Again, we revisited those, CNC'd them out of billet aluminum, and then chrome plated them. This is now common in most Restomods, but obviously electric windows with the manual crank does the trick. Another key feature that had lots of room for improvement was that the original design of this door handle was just very poor. First of all, if you'd lean on it, it would break. Secondly, the plastic here in the back was very brittle, would break again. But also, it wouldn't give you enough space for your fingers to grab on it properly. You'd literally have to grab it like this in order to shut the door. What did we do? Again, we took the original design of the back spacing here. We reinforced the way that this handle sits onto the door. We gave some more space here, just enough space so that you could properly fit your hand behind it. Another cool feature is that we integrated really subtle lighting under there, so that when you open the door, you have proper lighting under here. Every door latch, every striker has obviously been rebuilt. Another cool feature are these cargo strips. Originally, they were just a piece of sheet metal that was bent into shape. We took that design, put it in CAD, and are now extruding material from bars of aluminum to look correct, but also feel way sturdier. The pedal assembly in these vehicles is also brand new. That gives you way more response than the original assembly, which was prompt for vagueness and gave you a very imprecise feeling. The dash pads are restored to perfection, then leather wrapped with the same materials that we use on the rest of the interior. The gauges look stock, but are actually brand new and interface with the HEMI. The original housing of the gauges is known to be so brittle and always breaks in the corners. We've re-engineered that, optimized the shape of it so that the dash pad would sit properly in the original dash. The steering column is a brand new steering column that looks like stock. This feeling that you get behind the steering wheel has nothing to do with the original vehicle. A way tighter fit, but not a modern vehicle, just enough to remember that you're sitting in a 1975 vehicle. The climate control is key to anyone living in Texas. Modern air conditioning sits under the dash and interfaces with the original buttons and dials that you have in your gauge cluster. Originally, the heater would be controlled from this interface, and the AC, being an accessory, would be controlled from down below there, which didn't make any sense at all because you could have the heater on at the same time that you could have the air conditioning on. We revisited that functionality and integrated everything into one control panel that looks stock, but that operates both units. Another cool feature, the tailgate window would be operated stock from here, or with a key in the back of the vehicle. We can now control that with the remote control. This vehicle has a variable control valve on the exhaust, which makes it very silent or very loud or anywhere in between. How did we integrate that properly? There was a defroster function on the back glass, which never worked. Well, we used a defroster switch to operate it. We reprinted these bezels to look stock, but instead of saying tailgate and defroster, they now say tailgate and exhaust. No more brittle plastic in these vehicles. These ducts are made to look stock, but are 3D printed. The shifter knobs are inspired by the original design. They look stock, but they're actually brand new. These Jeeps never came with a 6-speed transmission. But again, we 3D scanned the original knobs, put it into CAD, respected the design language, and modified the fascia. We applied the same methodology to the slightly smaller twin-stick shifters that look stock, but that operate that Atlas II transfer case. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.